I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. These are the best new editions of board games coming to retail in the month of May 2025. These are new versions of older games, new games in an established line of games, and then re-implementations of older games. Come see me perform live. I'll be in Boise headlining Mad Swede Comedy or Mad Swede Brew Hall May 30th and 31st, and I'll also be doing a board game event, a fun big group game event at Phoenix Fire Games on Saturday at 2 p.m. So you can always check my website for those sort of things. But I don't have that much to say in the intro, so let's just talk about some good games coming out. First up this month, Ape Games is releasing Ivion, or I think that's how you say it, Ivion Season 3 Crossroads. This plays 2 to 4 players in about 45 minutes, and it is the lower end of medium weight game. There have been a number of Ivion games before. This is a arena battle game with some hero crafting and asymmetric heroes. So you will be playing as an asymmetric hero with its own deck, and you will be fighting against other people in an arena and trying to win the battles there. They are very asymmetric characters, and one of the interesting things is, like, after the game, after you're done with it, you can customize your hero's deck with their hero crafting system. You can even create new characters and new decks with their hero crafting system. So you are going to sort of mix and match all these different types of characters and classes and traits and stuff like that. There's a lot of different cards that you can combo together to build your hero and build their powers. And there's a ton of different combinations you can do with stuff, so it keeps the game replayable, keeps it interesting with all the different traits and things like that you can attach to different heroes. So if you like card games, if you like arena battle games, then that's one to check out. Board Cubator is releasing Square One, which is a re-implementation or a direct sequel to their game Project L. Plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 50 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. Project L was a fairly popular sort of themeless tile laying game with polyomino tiles. You had these different polyomino tile shapes, and you were trying to fit them onto cards, and there was an engine building aspect to it. The more you did, the more pieces you got to put on more cards. This maintains a lot of the same thing, the engine building aspect, the putting stuff onto cards, and then finishing cards will get you new pieces to add to your supply, which will get you new things to build onto more cards. All of that's the same. This gets rid of the polyomino shaped tiles, though. Now you just have square tiles with polyomino shapes printed on the tiles. So instead of physically being a polyomino tile, it's just a square tile with the polyomino shape on there. But you are adding those to cards, finishing cards. Some cards will get you new pieces to add to your supply to use throughout the game. Some cards will get you points, and so there's the engine building aspect of it as well. So, it is a good introduction to tile laying games, to polyomino tile games. It's a good introduction to engine building games, all of that. And component quality, just production value of the game is very high for both Project L and Square One. This one, if you like those polyomino shaped tiles, this one doesn't have that, though. Grim Rabbit Games is releasing a new version of the game Superfight. This is Superfight 2nd Edition. This plays 3 to 20 players, or even more if you want to, and plays in about 15 minutes, and it is a party game, so very lightweight. Superfight is a game where you argue who would win a fight. That sort of classic idea of who would win, Batman versus Superman in a fight, and then you get to debate over that sort of stuff. You know, they talked about it in the movie Stand By Me. Who would win in a fight, Superman or Mighty Mouse? Superman, obviously. I mean, he's a real guy. You know, Mighty Mouse is a cartoon character. Superman's a real guy. I love that movie. This second edition features a new sleek vertical box. 60% of the cards are new and updated, and it has a new mechanic in the box with a custom D12. So if you like arguing games, if you like party games, then check out the Superfight 2nd edition, Who Would Win party game. Hachette is releasing a new version of CDSK. This is CDSK Travel. This plays 2 to 16 players, or honestly even more if you want to. Plays in about 45 minutes, and it is another lightweight party game. CDSK is a trivia game, and really this is the same game but just in a shrunken down version. You know, CDSK was a pretty standard board game box size, and this one is a, you know, less than half the size probably. So if you want to bring a trivia game with you traveling, then this is a good option. I really like CDSK as a trivia game because the thing that it does differently than other trivia games is it's not, some trivia games are like, oh, you don't know the answer? Well, you know, screw you, you lose, ha ha ha. CDSK allows you to decide how difficult of a question you want. So you will hear the category, and you can play it individually or you can play it on teams if you have a bunch of people playing. And so you will get a category, and that category might be Game of Thrones, or it might be glasses, or something like that. And then you get to decide how difficult of a question you want. Every card has a 1 to 10 on it, and so if you're like, man, I know everything about Game of Thrones, then try to guess a 9 or a 10. And you move forward on the track the amount of spaces that you asked for a question, but only if you get it right. So do you want to go for a 5 to make sure you get it right if you're an expert on a subject, or do you want to go for a 9 and challenge yourself and maybe move further, maybe not move at all if you get it wrong? And they really are, like, I remember the card that was like glasses. The number 1 is ridiculously easy. It's like, do eyeglasses allow you to look through walls? That's like an example of a easy 1 question, whereas the 10 question was like, which 13th century philosopher was the first to describe spectacles in their writings? And you're like, I don't know, who knows that? So yeah, it's a fun trivia game, and now there's a travel version of it. Hachette is also releasing Mythical Dice. This plays 3 to 6 players in 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight strategy game, not a party game, a strategy game, but definitely a lightweight game. This is essentially the dice version of the great trick-taking card game Skull King. So if you're a fan of Skull King, this, instead of being cards and dealing out cards and having a hand of cards, you are now reaching into a bag and drawing dice from the bag, and you will draw the number of dice equal to the round that you're in currently. So if you're in round 5, you're drawing 5 dice. If you're in round 8, you're drawing 8 dice. And those dice will have various strength to them. The gray dice are pretty weak, whereas the blue and green and brown dice are very strong. They have special abilities. The red dice have more pips on them, but do have weaker things as well. And so you are getting all these dice behind your privacy screen and then betting on how many tricks you think you're going to win. And then you'll all go around and draw 1 dice from behind your privacy screen, roll it, and try to win the trick. So it is a traditional trick-taking game, but just with dice. And I will say, you know, it adds some excitement to the game with the dice rolling. It also adds a healthy measure of randomness. You know, it's a little bit harder to predict all of the things you are going to win, because it's harder to predict how a dice is going to roll rather than a card that you have in your hand. So know that going forward. You know, it is fun, and you know, it is a lot like Skull King, but just with more excitement and more randomness, for sure. Cosmos is releasing Exit Kids Midnight Spooktacular. Exit the Game, I suppose I could say. They're technically called Exit the Game Kids Midnight Spooktacular. This plays 1 to 4 players in about 20 minutes. It is a lightweight game. This is an exit game, but an exit game designed for kids and families. They say it plays ages 5 and up. So if you want an escape room puzzle solving type of game that you can play with your kids, then, you know, the Exit Kids series is good for you. Thematically, this one is you are combining picture cards to figure out how to answer riddles. This Franken girl Vicky is keen to join a party, and all she needs is a spooky outfit. Can you help her get a spooky outfit? Cosmos is also releasing Exit the Game, The Venice Conspiracy. This is not one in the kids line, this is one in the adult line. 1 to 4 players, 45 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. All of the Exit games are escape room style games in a box. You are going to be solving puzzles, you are going to be solving riddles. Those will help move the story forward, and you're trying to figure out a mystery. All of the Exit games are one-time use only, so know that if you want it. They're fairly affordable, but you are going to be tearing stuff and cutting stuff, and you know there is a lot of destroying components in the box. This one is thematically, can you solve a mission in Venice to save the city of Venice? So there's a lot of games in the Exit line, and you just kind of pick the theme that appeals the most to you and try it out for sure. Looney Labs is releasing Mystery Fluxx. This plays 1 to 6 players in 10 to 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight card game. There are a lot of games in the Fluxx line of games, and what they all have in common is mechanically the cards that you are playing are going to change the rules of the game while you are playing it. They're going to change how many cards you can draw, how many cards you can hold in your hand, what the win conditions of the game are. All of that sort of stuff changes as you play the game. That's why, like, you can have a game of Fluxx last 5 minutes, and you can have a game last 60 minutes if the win conditions keep changing and nobody can do it. But there are, again, this is another one where it's like, they're all, you know, connected mechanically in that sort of aspect of how the rules change while you're playing cards, but there's a lot of different themes to the Fluxx game, and pick the theme that appeals the most to you. Like the one I've kept in my collection is Monty Python Fluxx, because I grew up on Monty Python and I love Monty Python. Well, this one is thematically, it's all your favorite like mystery characters and plot lines. You've got Clue, Sherlock Holmes, Murder on the Orient Express, The Maltese Falcon, Columbo, Monk, just all of the sort of different crime solvers are going to be in this game, so that's fun. If you're a fan of like mysteries and detective shows, then you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know that character. Like, that's a fun aspect of it. So yeah, that's Mystery Fluxx. Rio Grande Games is releasing a new version of the game History of the World. This plays 2 to 6 players in 60 to 180 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. There have been a lot of versions of History of the World over the years. This is probably the 5th edition or something like that of the game, and so, you know, a game is, you know, must be decently good if it keeps getting reprinted that many times, and by multiple different publishers as well. And so, you know, that makes me take note of it. History of the World is, the game is sort of retelling the story of humanity, starting with ancient civilizations up until modern day USA. And so it's a bit of a civilization builder game, but a different type of game than other ones. You know, capitals, cities, monuments, forts are brought into play and then just as quickly are reduced by the armies of rivals. And so you'll be playing on a map and playing against each other and trying to control different buildings and lands, and controlling different stuff is going to help you collect gold, and you're trying to collect the most gold at the end wins. This version of it does have a decent amount of changes compared to previous versions of the game. This version allows you to play with or without dice rules. So if you get frustrated by dice rolls in games, you can play without it. It has a different distribution of empire cards and event cards. It features new event cards and gold collection mechanisms. It allows for new area tokens strategy. It includes new honor tokens that provide benefits, and it has a new player array. So, you know, definitely feels connected to previous versions, but like a separate game as well. So that is History of the World, coming from Rio Grande Games. The Op is releasing Flip 7 Peggable. This is a party game, 2 to however many players you want to play it, though they do recommend if you have like over 16 players or something like that, you need 2 copies, but it's pretty easy to combine copies as well. It is a lightweight party game. It just got nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. It was in my top 10 games of the year last year. I love Flip 7 a lot. And the history of the game, the reason for this new edition is slightly funny. You know, they released not a big box version, but certainly a bigger box version last year. That was the version that went into retail stores, and it was kind of, you know, about that big. But then they also printed a ton of little tuck box versions that they gave out as promo copies. It was the exact same game, it just, you know, didn't have an insert in the board and had a smaller rule book, a fold-out rule book. And that was one they were giving out at Gen Con, and they were giving out at places like that. And people, like, I would show my little version of Flip 7 in videos, and people would be mad at me. They were like, my box is so much bigger. How'd you get that small box? Why is my box big? I hate my big box. And the Op heard you and said, okay, we're going to make a smaller box version of Flip 7 for everybody that wanted it. So now we have the, you know, the sort of first edition bigger box, the tiny tuck box promo edition that they gave out at Gen Con and other places, and then we now have a sort of medium box version. It is a hanging box. It is still a small box. It's a little bit more than a tuck box, but if you were annoyed by your larger box of Flip 7, this is widely available now. You can get a version of the game that isn't in such a big box. And if you haven't played Flip 7, it's a really awesome push your luck game where there's a deck of cards, and in the deck there's like 12 12s and 11 11s and 10 10s on down to zeros, and you are trying to push your luck and get more cards, and the value of the cards is your points. But if you ever get the same face twice, like you get 2 10s, you bust for the round and you're out. And it's a super easy game to teach. It's always fun. It always has big emotions, and now you can get a smaller box version of the game widely available. So those are all the new additions that I have for you here in May. That is a smaller month than many months for new additions, but that's still 10 great games, new versions of games coming out here in May. As always, I'll be back with more. I do the best new games coming to retail, the best expansions, and the best new additions. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. I hope you're having fun playing games out there. I'll be at a lot of conventions coming up soon. If you want to see me at conventions, I'll be at LFG Con in Burbank, the greater Los Angeles area in June. I'll be at RAGECON in Reno, Nevada in June. In July, I'll be at CharCon in Charleston, West Virginia. I'll be at Gen Con. In August, I'll be at Grand Con in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I got a lot of conventions. I'd love to see you at some of them. I'd love to play games with you. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Wreck.